It was an explosive start to the Santos Tour Down Under.
What a sprint finish!
And it was that man, Andre Greipel, who blew away all in his path to go back-to-back.
As Greipel goes for win number 12 historically. Look at the distance here.
I have the best guys on my side.
Next up, it's stage 2, and he presents a new challenge to the riders.
I think everyone's a little bit tentative about Corkscrew.
I like a hard climb and an easy descent, and that seems to fit pretty perfectly.
The run into town is going to be very explosive, and guys are going to want to make it stick.
It's look like it's good for me, so if I have the legs, I will be there.
We're going to go for it.
Is this the stage that shapes the 2013 Santos Tour Down Under? Hello everyone and welcome to the Epic Cycle Series presented by Michelob Ultra. I'm Phil Liggett and joined as always by Paul Sherwen. Beautiful day down here, down under 31 degrees Celsius, thought to be the high of the day, and that's around 90 degrees Fahrenheit. No wonder you need water when you're the champion of Norway.
Yes, Edvald Bosenhagen, Martin Kohler, who led this race last year, and the man who leads at the moment, Andre Greipel. But he has a bit of fear and trepidation in his mind because there's a very nasty climb towards the end of today's stage, Corkscrew Hill. Everybody making final preparations because they know this is going to be a very vital day. This is Matty Hayman, former Commonwealth gold medalist, and a local favourite, Stuart O'Grady, signing in.
Time to look at the book and the location of Corkscrew Hill, the big challenge which will come just before the finish today. Andy Schleck may not think too much of that. And the world champion Philippe Gilbert, will he attack today and try for the race lead? Well, why not? Let's ask him.
I don't have a crystal ball, but I hope to be with the best at the top of the climb. I'm not far, and then the descent is a little bit technical at the beginning, so I'm not bad in this thing. It's a really steep climb, not so long, but steep and hard, and definitely it's gonna be a lot of guys drop there, and I think maybe we'll have my feeling is we're going to have a sprint of 20 guys maybe today.
I think the lead up to the climb, probably, I suppose, 1.5 kilometres just before it actually starts, it's going to be the most difficult. I mean, getting over the top's always going to probably split it up a bit, but nonetheless, I think the physically demanding portion of the race will definitely be the lead up to it.
So let's have a look at the route of stage 2 today from Mount Barker to Rostrevor, 2 new towns after 15 years of the Santos Tour Down Under. Leaving the city of Adelaide, the race goes up to the start at Mount Barker, 116 kilometres, and that's around 73 miles.
Very short but violent stage. A couple of sprint points out on the day, but the most important strategic day of the race is when they get to the final climb of the day, Corkscrew Hill.
Once over the top, it is a 7 kilometres, slightly less than 5 miles, charged away from the Adelaide Hills down to the finishing line in Rostrevor. Here we go. So the riders are underway, and I shouldn't imagine they're in too much of a hurry here. Mike Turter, the former Olympic team pursuit champion in Los Angeles, in the car there, keeping them nice and calm before we clear the town of Mount Barker.
Well, with the stage only being 116 kilometres long, we can expect, as always, a very rapid start. I wouldn't be surprised to see Team Uni SA going out on the attack.
Well, we have a man on the far right there. That's Adam Phelan in the white jersey riding along the edge of the road. Maybe it'll be him. He's moving up. Can you believe? The riders aren't going to be in too much of a hurry just now. It's a beautiful day and there is a very hard finish.
That's usually pretty much the order of the day from Team Uni SA. It's a young team, 19, 20 years of age, but full of enthusiasm. And
here he goes. Adam Phelan's got himself to the front. He's now testing the water as he starts to accelerate clear. Now this, on the second day, we're seeing again a man from the Uni SA team who is going out in front. We'll see who tries to join him, I think. We've got Guillaume Bonifant here for Team AG2R. Will Clark is on the far right in the all-white jersey for the Argus Shimano, and the other rider just coming into shot there is Chris Juel Jensen of Denmark, and it looks like that's the combination because the pressure has gone off in the peloton. Time for a quick break as stage 2 continues. We'll be right back. The Epic Cycle, presented by Michelob Ultra on NBC Sports Network, is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. This is the year you stop saying this is the year. And by BMC, who is giving away a trip to the 2013 Tour of Flanders or Paris-Roubaix and a brand new BMC bike. Register at www.bmc-switzerland.com/Spring Classics. And by X-Endurance, the greatest athletic discovery since tennis shoes. Monday at 6 Eastern, the NBC Sports Network brings you a pop culture spin on the world of sports. Introducing The Crossover with Michelle Beadle and Dave Briggs. Premieres Monday at 6 Eastern on the NBC Sports Network. And the sprint has been opened by Will Clark, the man who won in Stirling last year, and now a professional with Argus Shimano, and that might be good enough. He's being challenged by Calvin Watson, but Clark will take 3 seconds. Watson gets 3 seconds. He's actually the leader on the road at the moment now, young Watson, because he's now only 7 seconds plus his time gains of the day ahead now of Andre Greipel. That's how it all happened.
Well, that was a big acceleration. He was very confident, Clark, as he looks over his shoulder. He knew he'd got this. Bear in mind, Phil, it was probably in the Santos Tour Down Under last year with his stage victory that some of the international team managers looked at him and said, we'll have a piece of that class.
And 5 points towards the blue Jayco sprint jersey as well for Will Clark.
1 kilometre to go now. Now, I keep looking at that wheel there of Will Clark. He's number 163, and I think he's gingerly steering his bike up to this 1 kilometre mark to see. I keep looking at that wheel, and it looks as if it might be a slowly softening front tyre.
There is concern with it, and we have seen the service motorbike go forward, and I'm wondering he's trying to hang on until he gets through the sprint. As I'm about to say, looks like he's starting to move out a little bit. If he has got a soft tyre, as soon as he's through this sprint, he'll be off his bike and hopefully get a quick change for a new front wheel. It's a long straight road, difficult for the riders to judge this one, as they're looking for the 3 second time bonus, 2 and 1, so 3 of the 4 riders will get small time bonuses.
Well, he's waiting. He's putting himself into the right position. He's got himself onto the wheel of the Frenchman Bonifant. And there's a little move now coming from Will Clark, from Calvin Watson.
Yeah, Calvin Watson's gone. The 20-year-old decided to open it up. Another rider with a big future, and it's Will Clark who's chasing him down for Argus, not having any of that. 2 Australians wanted to go. He's gone too early. He sat up, and now they're all looking at each other once again. 250 metres to go.
Well, he was looking for the surprise there, but now it's Bonifant's turn to try and whip up. And every time there you can see that Will Clark just gets into the slipstream of the rider in front, waiting for the time to pounce. He's coming up alongside him, and I think he's going to get maximum points and 3 more time bonus seconds.
Clark over Bonifant. Bonifant was third in the previous one, so Will has now taken 6 seconds time bonus. Of course, if when they catch up he gets left behind, the 6 seconds are going to be meaningless to him, but for the moment, that's a good result. Will Clark last year was winning the stage into Stirling, and he brought the crowd, and a massive crowd it was, and will be when we go back there this week, to their feet. They were really egging him on. It was a tremendous victory. Riders still clear by a minute and a half or so, and I'm now joined by Robbie McEwen, a 12 times a stage winner in the Santos Tour Down Under, and sitting alongside us. And the first thing I want to ask you, Robbie, is what about Simon Gerrans today? Because he's the man who is the defending champion. He's been looking good. He's sharp. And shouldn't he be doing something now about this breakaway?
He has had very good form, and hopefully today we'll see him right at the pointy end of the race. He's done the training. We think he's got the form, but only the race will tell in a short while. This morning I spoke about guys like Gerrans, like Gilbert, Thomas de Gent. They all took bonus seconds yesterday. They're all obviously thinking about the GC. As you see, these guys have gone out and built their lead just a little bit more again after 2 minutes. I think the peloton have them under control and aren't too worried.
There's the spread from the top, and the breakaway now is imploding down there. lonely figure of William Bonnefon. The peloton has just swept him up. There's 3 left. They're only just ahead of the peloton. They went right around him, put him back in his place. He's the first to be caught. 3 more, and there they are, spread over the road. The break is over. We are about 7 kilometres from the start of the climb of the Corkscrew, and the race has come all together.
I think there may well be one last survivor. It may well be quite possible that Will Clark is still in front. There he is, just by a fraction. He hasn't quite given up yet, but did you see the speed that Team Sky came by? Some serious work being done there by the riders in the black and blue helmets, and that is obviously, I think, today going to be for Edvald Boasson-Hagen. He's one of the most talented bike riders on the international circuit, and he has been around for quite a long time. Had a quiet season in the Tour de France last year because they had something else on their mind. They wanted to try and win the Tour de France overall with Bradley Wiggins, but when he's given a free
crash. Sorry. Touch of wheels at the back of the race, and 2 or 3 riders fell down there. He's one. It looks like UCI riders. I'm wondering if it's actually Calvin Watson there, as he was slipping out the back of the bunch. Somebody rode at the back of him, but we can't see it from the helicopter. Anyway, he looks okay. That's the most important thing.
Let's have a quick look at what was happening.
Well, see riders coming down from the breakaway because the acceleration, and there it is. Well, that's an unfortunate crash. It was a UCI rider, and I think it was Calvin Watson. He ran up the back of a Movistar rider there.
Yeah, you saw as Will Clark was drifting, then guys trying to get around, the liquid gas guy, Cannondale, into somebody else, and here's our victim who really had nothing to do with it.
This looks like Matthew Lloyd. He's dancing his way up the climb.
It is Matthew Lloyd, number 121. This is the kind of climb that he rides. He had to fight to get himself a bit of position, and look at that. He's gone straight by the rider from Costa Rica. Now, this rider has got a fair history with this race going back. I remember when he was a youngster, he was charging down the climb of Wollonga Hill to get himself back into Wollonga, and he blacked out because he'd just not been able to hydrate himself. He ended up in hospital that night, but he's come back and he's had a win in the King of the Mountains in the Giro d'Italia. He's coming back now from some serious injury too.
Well, with Matthew Lloyd, he's had a love-hate relationship these last couple of years, but now there's a counter-attack gone from George Bennett, the man that Robbie has mentioned. He did get the silver medal in the recent New Zealand Championships behind Hayden Rolson, who isn't here, and he's obviously got a lot of confidence from that performance.
We'll see soon enough if he's gone out too early, but he's doing some huge damage.
He's gone out very early here, but George Bennett has decided to throw down the gauntlet. It's about 3 kilometres up the climb. Bennett to get all the cheers here, and he's being joined by a hard-riding man from Sky here, and I'm just wondering who this one is.
Geraint Thomas, if I...
Oh, it is indeed Geraint Thomas.
From here, I'd say.
Yeah, it is. He's got the Union flag on his shoulder there, indicating he's a former British national champion. He said at the start of this race, he said, I want to get rid of my track fat, because this man is a gold medalist from the London Olympic Games in the team pursuit, and he's looking forward to being possibly a Tour de France contender. He's a great talent from Wales.
Well, there's a pretty good template there already with Bradley Wiggins. Geraint Thomas is a very similar build, a very similar type of rider, a pursuiter, guy with a massive engine on the track. He's now trimmed down a little bit of that track muscle, and you see what it does when he starts to go uphill and open the lungs up a bit.
Well, Geraint Thomas has absolutely destroyed Bennett and the field at the moment. He is riding up this hill as if it is totally flat. He's now given up with the track cycling, on which he's been world champion. He's turned his back on it finally to concentrate on becoming a top road cyclist, and especially aiming at the Tour de France. Well, if he climbs like this in the Tour de France, they're going to start turning heads.
Well, somebody needs to tell him this is not a 4,000-metre team pursuit at the Olympic Games. But we've always seen this rider as a rider who's been building up over the years. He's ridden the Tour de France previously. He's ridden very well in the one-day classics. And he took off the Tour de France last year because he wanted to specifically prepare for the London Olympics, and he came away with a gold medal. But now he's going to dedicate himself to the road racing side of the sport, and why not a future Tour de France winner?
Absolutely, why not? He's a guy who can set goals and achieve them. He said what he wanted to do. He's obviously trained very, very hard over the winter, and he's ripping the race apart. He's very close to the top of the mountain now, and it's an extremely quick run down to the finish. If anybody can stay in front of the bunch, it's a world champion team pursuiter.
Geraint Thomas, I don't think he won an actual road race since he was national champion of Great Britain back in 2010, so maybe this could be a big moment for him here. There's a lovely crowd on the Corkscrew. He's made it look very, very fast. It reminds me of the top of the Col de Croix de Fer, this in the Alps, but it takes a little bit longer to reach the summit of that climb. Just look at the crowd here. Gerrans Thomas gets the points. He's got the Skoda jersey probably. Tomorrow it just depends. Depends on just how quickly he descends now. This is going to be a nail-biting finish for Gerrans Thomas. Epic Cycle, presented by Michelob Ultra on NBC Sports Network, is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. This is the year you stop saying this is the year. And by Giant Bicycles, the world leader in cycling technology and craftsmanship. And by Louis Garneau in the cycling solution. Visit us at www.louisgarneau.com. There's the chase.
A dozen riders behind, led by a Francais de Joux rider.
Yeah, just trying to check out who that Francais de Joux rider was there, but I'm pretty sure it was UCI ProTour, the Finnish rider on the squad.
And interesting, on the back of that group was another Sky rider. I'm hoping I can spot an Orica GreenEdge amongst there.
They should come across. We should declare colours here because Robin McEwen, who's our guest commentator, is connected with Orica GreenEdge, and he's going to be cheering for them today with Simon Gerrans, I'm sure.
I'd love to see them get up, but I'd also love to see a winner who really deserves it, someone who's put in, made the attacks and made it stick.
Well, there's 11 riders in that group, and 11 riders could suddenly make this 15 riders up front. We may have gone past 3 kilometres, and they may or may not hang on because it's all downhill. They're going to have to really fly to bridge this gap.
They're absolutely going to have to fly, and what can start to happen in front and behind, guys start to look around and think who's going to do the work. The front guys may hesitate a little bit, but it could also happen behind, and guys refuse to do any more work.
2.6 kilometres, Rob. It's a blink of an eyelid. It's going to be dead straight for the last kilometre and more. They can see the finishing banner in the distance. There's not a kink in the road. It is an incredibly fast finish now. And the two riders from Radioshack, Hermans and George Bennett of New Zealand, are driving on. There is the view as we're coming away from the gorge now and away from the mountains and the long straight towards the finish. There's a lot of riders here, and still but another Radioshack rider here is Tiago Machado. Number 45 has got on the back, the rider who was third overall.
It's a gap of maybe 6 or 7 seconds, but when you're travelling at 70 kilometres plus per hour, 2 kilometres to go, those guys behind, I think they're going to have a lot of trouble catching up if these guys can cooperate for a little bit longer. You see Thomas, he just does not want to get caught. He tucks in, he's got that aero position like a time trialist. He wants this thing to stay in front.
And he's right, every second counts in this race, and there's a 10-second win bonus for the leader. He's looked over his shoulder, he has seen them coming, and quite happy to take up the chase is George Bennett. Under 1 kilometre to go, they're not going to catch. These four have stolen the day here and done it well indeed. There's a time gap between them. There will be a new leader. It'll be the man that wins the stage. George Bennett drives on, trying to set it up perhaps for his teammate Ben Hermans, but watch out for the rider in black now, Gerrans Thomas, the man who started it all, will try and finish it off. And what about the man Moreno, Javier Moreno in second place? Bennett is going to be forced to lead this one out. They are coming closer by the minute. There are Orica riders back there, and there's the move. They weren't ready for it, and Gerrans Thomas has gone early to beat them, and Thomas, who started it all, is finishing it off, and an ochre jersey awaits the rider from Wales in the United Kingdom. This is a rider who's done just about it all. We don't mention his gold medal against the Australians this year in the Olympic Games in London, but we just did. Gerrans Thomas crosses the line, the winner, and Sky are on top again. That was fantastic.
What an absolutely fantastic ride. You saw Gerrans just pick his moment from the back of the group. He actually laid off them by a length or two. He ran into the slipstream and just absolutely took off, and his acceleration pulled him away from the rest of the group. He's not only won the stage in the sprint, he's put time into those guys as well. He'll get the extra time bonus seconds, but I think he's created a gap of at least a second on the line as well.
Unbelievable, and that's over his compatriots. Just take us through it then, Rob.
Well, you see him here just lay off, let that little gap run into the slipstream and hit over them. They just did not see it coming. They should never have taken their eyes off him, but you see him, he's just much more explosive. That track background is still with him. He may have fined down and got a little bit lighter and improved his climbing, but that speed, and I think also that tactical nous, that never leaves you. And Gerrans has just pedalled away from them. They've just floundered in his wake there, and what a fantastic stage win.
He's been a champion since he was under 16 champion over 500 metres in Great Britain in 2001. Here we are now 12 years later, and he's showing the best bike riders in the world how to finish a road race in Rostrevor. So Geraint Thomas has crossed the line in first place. Calculations will tell us for sure he is the new leader of the Santos Tour Down Under. He's a man who is only 26 years of age, and Paul Sherwen is now with Geraint Thomas.
I most certainly am. Geraint, when I met you at the team presentation a couple of days ago, you said you wanted to get rid of your track fat and leave the Olympic gold medal behind and concentrate on road racing. Well, you've done that today, haven't you?
Yeah, it was a good day, really. I felt good from the start, and the boys worked really well for me, looked after me all day and yesterday. And yeah, I've worked hard in the winter. Since the track, all I've been thinking about is the roads, and this year, and that's what kept me racing after the games. Like back after Beijing, I was just out on the lash, for a few months, but I was straight back on the road and thinking about this year. And I had a good winter, good consistent, just get the hours in, and yeah, stoked. It's great to win here.
He sprinted so well in the end, he gained a second over the field, so Geraint Thomas gets the stage over Javier Moreno, and that was Robin McEwen's tip. Ben Herman's in third place there, but there is the first prize, and he's all smiles.
Well, for a man who says he wants to move away from track racing and concentrate on the road, he's done a good job today.
And this is how it stands now going into day 3. Thomas leads Moreno by 5 seconds, Ben Herman's by 7, and then Pietropoli at 14 with a majority of the field. But the interesting thing, no Australian there in the top 10 places. Well, that wraps it up for stage 2. Be sure to tune in to our coverage of stage 3 tomorrow, which comes to you at 3:30 Eastern, right here on the Epic Cycle Series, presented by Michelob Ultra. For a full cycling schedule, log on to our website at NBCsports.com. For Paul Sherwen, I'm Phil Liggett saying so long for now.